Okay, this is a meeting to discuss some R1 things around package injection and all of that. So just recording it for others who are interested later. Okay, so Wim, you want to should I display? I can display that package, and then we can switch if.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so if we look at
or I have one as well here. I can share my screen.
Well, I'll do this first, and then we'll switch.
Okay. Yeah.
So in here.
Yeah, and that one, yeah, you created.
I created this. What, did it not merge yet?
Oh, no, this is still open, I think, because yeah, I was not able to test this yet myself, but I don't know. I think
hard to test because you got I think I put a link in here. I have a.
Yeah, but I was busy with this cluster context. I was testing that out, and then it messes up my stuff, so I prioritized that.
Okay.
But I looked at this. Yeah.
So this, although if we merged this, I think we might have merged this, so we might be able to. But anyway, oh no, this doesn't merge because it's got like specific test only things in it. Okay. So what I wanted to show was here. So in this model, so part of the reason I needed to do this is that when package variant creates a clone, it then needs to manipulate that clone and the stuff that was in package context. So package context, I kind of abused the notion of package context by allowing us to mutate it. It really was designed to be like kept controlled information about a package. And what I didn't understand during the package variant design and development process was that it's actually regenerated from scratch each time. And yeah, so any defaults you put in it just get lost. So not only that, but you clone, it gets regenerated, then we mutate it, and it seemed to be, I suspected it was causing some issues because every time one of these operations happens, reconciliations get triggered. And so I was seeing this period, and I still see it, unfortunately, even with this change, but I still think this is a good change. There's a period of sort of settling that happens where, because it's the clone and mutation operations are independent and not atomic, the package variant controller clones, and that throws out a potential reconciliation event to other controllers watching the package revisions. Yep. And then the package variant controller goes, okay, I'm going to mutate it. But actually it happens so fast that I think there's some bugs in the Porch server such that there's some concurrency issues such that it happens so fast that like I do the clone and then I try and pull the package revision resources and I get an error saying they're not found. And so then I come back and reconcile later and it eventually settles down, right? It's eventually consistent, but there's some issues in that process. And so in order to, when I had the auto approve controller, it would come in and it would start approving things even though they weren't really done. And so I did two things to fix that. One is I just did the dumb thing of giving more time. Okay, the auto approve controller was waiting 30 seconds because of this issue. Now it waits 2 minutes before it does anything. But better than that, I put in understanding of package variant into the auto approve controller. So now when it looks at a package revision, it looks at its owner's refs and it says, is it owned by a package variant? If so, I'm going to go check the conditions of that package variant. And if the conditions of that package variant says it's not ready yet, I'm not doing anything. So I think that's really helped protect downstream damage from this settling process. I still think we have to fix the settling process. I think that's a deeper fix that's going to take longer though. So my way of addressing it right now was, one, get rid of package context, which contributes to that thrashing. Two, fix the approval controller. And so anyway, that's the context of all of that. Maybe I got off on a
No, I got some of that. Yeah, not everything, but I got some of that. Yes. Yeah. By the way, I see if I have R1 running for weeks, Porch is crashing 100 times.
Yeah, I've got
so there must be something, and I've been trying to dig into it, but it's very hard to get any logging or information around it.
So this is where it's super useful to throw it on a GKE cluster, because then all the logging goes to cloud logging. So I have actually, there's an issue out there in the Porch repo where Morton's going to look at it. He's been on vacation, but yeah, there's some concurrency issues that we know cause crashing. What I'm trying to say is, feel free to dive into it if you want to, but it might be more effective to let Morton take a look at it.
I've been trying, but it's I don't really have the cycles, to be honest. But
I know.
Sometimes it's obvious, but okay, then it's easy to do. But it's I just wanted to say that I haven't really said it to anyone so far, but yeah, I see it regularly.
I see that crashing, and I also see this flapping thing where, like, there's clearly we're missing some locks or something that's causing some drama. So we'll have to deal with that. But anyway, so the way that now this works is when you go and you deploy the Nephew workload cluster. So for deploying the clusters, you deploy this one, and
PVS.
The
PVS will do this. Then I think you do apply replacements with all the mutations, I think.
Right. So the one thing that the one sort of automation that this has is that whatever name you clone it to becomes the name of the cluster. So that becomes cluster name. Yeah. And then that gets propagated through this apply replacements down through these different PVs and to this workload cluster resource, which of course then this gets then applied to the management cluster. So all of these resources, all these PVs and the workload cluster resource all get applied to the management cluster. And so we will have a catalog of all the workload clusters that are
in the management server, that are somehow activated or
exactly, yes. It doesn't tie status, it doesn't do, right, there's a lot of things it doesn't do, but that's what it has right now. So you could use that as the input, and based like on our discussion on Slack, like I think you're absolutely right. Like ideally this becomes the thing where you express, I want a workload cluster and I want it to have these CIDRs, and I need it, I got all these requirements for that workload cluster. It needs to support this CNI, it needs to support auto scaling or not, it needs to support blah, blah, blah. And then theoretically, we have some mechanism and controller that can make a selection of this upstream PV cluster upstream based upon that. Obviously that's not R1, but I agree that that's the direction this should be heading.
Yeah. But okay, so the thing is, the difference between what you have right now and what we have to do for the workloads is that, so you control the package names in the PVS, right?
Yes.
Whereas I need to be scheduling to repos, which are the cluster somehow, right?
Yes.
So that is one, that is two ways to do this. I think one is so the initial thing I was looking at the repository selector. So maybe I can share my screen. I have
because right now we name the repository the same as the cluster, and that should be sufficient.
Yeah, so the thing that so this is what I was cooking right now.
You need to move this to
So
my bigger screen so I can see the stuff.
okay.
I'm just looking at my bigger screen, that's all, not my email or something. Okay. Yeah, all right, so upstream, template downstream. Okay, so what you want to do, your template downstream,
So I just want to change the name because otherwise it gets this. So that's this one. But what I was struggling with is how could I get access to the values that were selected in this expression? And you tell me that I was just looking at, so there is a way you can set that, is what you're saying?
yes. So that would be, look at the package variant API, package variant template. Yep.
This one here, yeah.
Yep, that you're showing. We scroll down a little bit. Scroll down a little bit. Package context template. No, not package context template. It should be a downstream.
Yeah, this one. So in the top here, downstream
Downstream
template.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was using.
Yeah.
But there is an expression. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't use that yet.
Okay. So yeah,
and it's in this expression. Yeah. Okay. Or yeah. So this is the package expression, and then so here we can, instead of using this, I could use, what is it, the repositories you said? Repository.
Actually, I think you want repository expression. But you want the package name is fine to be the same. You want the repository to be different, right? But actually, you don't even need to put it there because it's already going to put it in the different repository.
Yes, correct. But what I want to have is that a value. So this basically helps PVs and packages to be put in the right place, right? So that's fine. Even with this statement here, I could do that, right? Okay. The problem is, I want to have within the data of the package, I want to have the cluster information, or that cluster that got selected, or that repo that got selected, whatever way we do it. I want that information to exist somewhere in the data. I don't care which data.
Right.
Ideally, it should be part of what we call cluster context, but we could also,
so that's the injector. So not in the downstream. What you want to do is go.
But the injector, okay, I need to, I can do two things. I do an injector template. Should I do that?
Yes. So you'd say injectors, and then you'd say.
So this one is fine, I think, right? And I can then do injectors.
Injectors, and then
there's a list, it seems.
Yeah, and all you care about is name. So you just say name expression.
Okay. Name expression, this one.
Yep. Name expression is repository dot name.
Repository dot name.
And then you could say kind workload.
Yeah, I need to put it onto a resource somewhere, right? Kind will be cluster context, I guess. Kind will be.
Well, okay. So here's where it gets funky. Okay. This is where you get to that. I want to change this API.
Okay.
So the way these injectors work right now, it's a matching algorithm. So it starts with what's in the package. And what's in the package is an injection point, and it's got a GVK.
Yes.
And so if you look at the, so if you look at like,
you need the resource. What I saw in the code is you are trying, one of the things that it checks whether there is a resource within the package that has that is aligned with this stuff somehow. Is that correct?
Right. So basically, you don't need to specify the kind here, because what it's going to do is it's going to say, find all the injection points, then take the GVK from the injection point, look for those GVKs in the cluster and match them by name. And it should find exactly one because it's by name, and it'll replace it.
But the injection points are what? The injection points are they not specific?
The injection points are specific resources within the package
that are assigned by the package variant.
They're created by the package author of the upstream package there.
And how that is an annotation or something? Is that an? Yeah, wait a minute. So I have your here. This is your stuff. So do they have?
Yes,
So
look at
here,
PV cluster, for
yeah,
example.
PV cluster. Wait, copy it is, I think, right? Cluster copy. Here.
No.
I know PV cluster.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes. Cluster copy kind.
Wait, cluster
copy
copy
kind in the PR.
here. Here
You'll
you have
see-
this. Okay, so you put here this annotation. Okay, yeah, you do it by the annotation.
So this is saying
Okay.
you need to, it's required. You need to inject this. And
Okay, and it
so-
will mutate the name. So basically, it will
copy
the name. Okay, so the name here is going to be replaced with that stuff. Okay.
Well, so what's going to happen is that this name, this repository.name, it will look in the cluster for a resource with that name and the same GVK as the injection point. And if it finds it, it will copy the spec from the cluster to the injection point. So this cluster spec cluster.name will get replaced by the one that's in the cluster. And we're locating the one that's in the cluster by name, which is
okay, I see. So basically this will give me, let's say, H1, right? It will go to the workload, will to the real API of the management cluster.
Yeah.
And if it sees a match, it will replace this object, only the spec of that object.
Yes, only the spec. Yes.
Okay.
And it will annotate that object in the package to say, I replaced the spec with this particular resource and tell you which one. Let me see if my VM is still up.
Okay, yeah, I see. So, but in other words, this, if I put this in the blueprint package, whatever, then this will be, cluster name will be replaced with H1.
Exactly, yes. And the whole contents will be replaced with whatever the whole contents is in the management cluster. So if you have...
Yeah, whether there is 5 times more parameters, we couldn't care less at the end of the day. But then, that's why my comment was in Slack, John, why do we retain cluster context? Because...
You're right. I think you're probably right. We probably shouldn't. The reason I had it was kind of mixing these requirements versus the requires versus provides. So we need a resource that says, hey, me, the CAPI cluster kind package, I can provision a cluster that has this CNI type and this master interface. So it's not master interface, for example, is the thing. Like, that's not an intent thing. I don't give a crap what the master interface.
I agree with you. We are abusing a little bit, but we are abusing because we don't have status and stuff like that, right? So so at the moment, okay, a cluster has always the same pieces. Even with cluster context, that would be the case for us.
Yes,
so,
they're mixed already. Yeah, and
they are. Master interface is actually a status object.
We can get rid of it and we can put CNI type in here because that's a requirement. I need this CNI type. We happen to only be able to satisfy it with, like, a limited thing. But then the CNI master interface, maybe we don't put in here and we keep in some other demographic.
Or we put in status. We put in status.
Maybe, yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, that might make perfect sense. I actually have to run.
No, sure. But I think it clarifies, because for me, it was unclear is the link to the real management cluster and then the tie back into the cluster. Okay, that's the part that I missed or that I was not sure about. Okay, but now I get it. So I will test this and let you know where I'm getting. But I got it. Yeah, thanks for your time. Yeah, appreciate it.
See you later.
Yeah,
Bye.
cheers.